and welcome to the segment of You and Your Mental Health. My name is Esther Wachuku. It's another beautiful day here for us to talk about our mental health, our mental space, and our mental environment. Today we want to focus on you and your workspace. That is, your employment, your work environment, and how it affects your mental health. So here is the thing. As usual on the program, I have a guest. And of course, you know how intelligent, versatile, and vast that she is. She gives us a wealth of experience when it comes to addressing the several cases of mental health issues. And I want to welcome you to Ayodeji. Michael Oni. Did I get that right?
Yeah, you did.
Yay! I got it. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
It's always exciting to see you here, and you look beautiful. I love the patterns, colorful, the fruits. It breathes life.
Yeah,
I love it. Thank you for this. This is an inspo on its
You
own.
look beautiful. I told you about the haircut, right?
Yes, you did.
Nope.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
All right. Now, here is the thing. A toxic work environment is one where negative, antagonistic, or bullying behavior is baked into the very culture. That's the truth. Now, in a toxic work environment, employees are stressed. Communication, which is essential in a work environment, is limited. And then there is always the attitude of blame culture. In fact, it's always rife in such environments. People are rewarded for unethical, harmful, or nasty attitudes and actions. Now, a sizable portion of millennials in Nigeria are currently being pushed to extremes in the name of being gainfully employed, okay? They are cornered by the relentless rise in unemployment, account balance statements, and subtle digs from relatives. That is something I feel a couple of people can relate with. Now, 30 months, imagine staying 30 months without a steady income. And the fact that that very important call that you're waiting for from a well-connected uncle is now being forwarded to another number. It makes you take anything you see with both hands, and that, I must tell you, is dangerous. When that happens, you already know how it is with employers, all right? Now, in private enterprises, conversely, your daily bread could be jeopardized by the side of the bed your manager wakes up from. The risk that he or she could pull a god and take you from being employed to unemployed. And so the risk of being unemployed, going through the unimaginable process, is something you cannot imagine put yourself through. So what do? You absorb whatever limitation, toxicity that takes place in your work environment. Ayodeji is here to tell us precisely how that can adversely affect us mentally, psychologically, and even our social lives. Now, I already gave a rundown of generally what it takes. But there is a culture in this part of the world. I don't know if it started from our colonial masters, where they feel that in order to get the best from people, their own people, it is through punishment, torture, and hardship, or creating a destabilized environment where people cannot be together but oppose each other. Why do we have such traits and attributes in most Nigerian workspaces?
Okay, so the issue of mental health, a mental health leads us here. There's what we call this adaptability factor, where you just find yourself in the place and somehow you just see yourself doing the same thing everybody does, because there's this feeling that that's what brings results. That's what gives you the expected, results. And that's where we find ourselves. Mental health disorder that is caused by the economic, the geographical location that we found ourselves. So sometimes it could be a Nigerian thing, but it's not a personal thing. So Nigeria can affect you, but you can choose not to allow Nigeria. Like we say, don't allow Nigeria happen to you. So you can allow, Nigeria not to happen to you. You can dictate your own personality. You can dictate how your disposition, to things. So most of this toxicity in the working place is as a result of a distorted personality. A personality that has allowed Nigeria to affect him or her, to dictate his or her disposition to things. with the belief that you have to be hostile to get the best out of your employees. You have to be harsh. Don't even let them see you smile. That's how they can respect you. People bosses want to command respect instead of earning it.
Okay, let me paint this scenario. A typical Nigerian, in a state like Lagos, for example, you already understand how Lagos is. It's a quagmire of a state, but somehow we revel in it. We pull through. You wake up, you walk on the island, you reside on the mainland. So ideally, you wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning. You prepare, bearing that your boss told you to do some things down. Possibly you took it home. So it means when you got home the night before, you didn't go to bed on time. You had to get all of that down. You eventually get on the road, get to the office before 7 a.m. Your boss comes in, and literally all the hard work you did the night before, it seems like you did nothing. Couldn't address you in a proper way like you're addressing a human being. Couldn't tell you the areas you went wrong and whatever it was they asked you to do. And then there's this boomerang. You're being insulted. You're being denigrated. Terms are used to insult you. How does that affect the productivity and ethical disposition to the work for that individual?
Of course, it does affect. Because mentally you're not stable. You're not in the right frame of mind. You cannot even give your best. Your productivity is jeopardized in that kind of work environment. But what I tell people, how to be productive in a toxic work environment, it's about you. Now you just view the boss or whoever is the superior that you're working with that tends to, make that workplace tensed and hostile. Just see the person as the victim. Of course, you don't have to act it, but right inside of you, know that this person is dealing with something, and that's always the issue. Boss.
You have scenarios where, for example, your boss is not as qualified as you possibly educationally. Could that be one of those? Could that be a contributing factor to such persons acting in a hostile manner towards those that are subordinates?
I'm coming there. That's why I said, see the person as a victim. He or she is actually going through something. It's either he or she sees you as a threat, sees you as a potential.
Okay.
Someone that is coming up, and if given space, could possibly outshine him or outshine her. So the idea is to suppress you. The idea is to make you feel less of yourself. No, you don't allow that. But of course, you have to be wise about it. Because if you're not wise about it, you are also at the edge of losing your job. And that's what you were saying during the introduction. Yeah. You have to sometimes absorb all of these things just so that you're able to keep your job. So you have to balance it.
How do you do that?
Good.
Because you're in a tight spot. You don't know what to do. You need your job because it's your means of getting your daily income. You have bills to sort out and you have responsibilities. But your boss gives you that dreadful apprehension to come into the office daily. It's already you're already putting yourself in a state of paranoia where you always anticipate them being dissatisfied with your work. So already you're ready for the insults, you're ready for all the harsh terminologies rained on you. What does that attitude create on the personality of an individual, the person at the receiving end, the employee at the receiving end?
It breaks you. It breaks you. And so if you're not important, this is what I would say. While you're trying to cope, of course, you have to devise a coping mechanism to keep yourself sane while you're at that kind of job. Now, while you're at it, trying to keep yourself sane, be on the lookout, because that kind of work environment is not too good for your mental well-being.
What if the pay is too good to be true? The pay is so attractive, in as much as you're not happy, but the pay is good.
The pay is good, but the pay might not be good for your mental health. So you need to understand that your mental health is key. Now, these things are not easy, but they are doable because it takes the living to enjoy what you have worked for. So you need to be on the lookout, and that job cannot be the best paying job in the world. No, there has to be something better, of course. So you need to look inward and say that I'm a potential. I'm possibly a threat to this person, and that could be the reason why he or she is being hostile and hard on me and all of that. So while you're trying to cope, Now, this is what I told a particular client that came to me time and told me about how the boss uses, words at him, try to bring him down when he does things. So I told him, travel. Be with him, but not be with him. So anytime he's talking and he's using those words that gets at you, just travel. Just be there and not be there. These are parts of coping mechanisms that you can use to keep yourself sane. The man is talking, he's blabbing, he's saying a lot of things, but you're there thinking of something else. So you're not even hearing all of those things. That way you're keeping your mental health, your mental space sane. You're keeping your mental space stable. Because the truth is, words get at us. And what we call the third voice would always come back. Even if you're good and you know that you're good, the fact that somebody keeps telling you you're not good enough, your good is not, your best is not good enough, it keeps coming back. The rotten egg will always gain the upper hand. So you have to be intentional about your mental well-being.
Earlier in 2022, on Twitter at some point, there was a trending, uprise amongst Nigerians of the working space, talking about horrible bosses. This experience elicited a lot of people expressing their various experience with their bosses at their various workstations. It got to a point that a lot of persons were able to expose how they almost committed suicide because of the constant battering with words and threats by their bosses. This is a current way of life in most Nigerian companies. The worst part of this is that this attitude and tendencies by these bosses cannot be replicated in countries outside of Nigeria. In other words, how do we stop this? Even if we try to create a working mechanism for us on how we can dissociate ourselves from the mental space that this harsh attitude from the bosses keeps us, how do we correct this malady in the work environment? It shouldn't be something we should get used to.
Okay. Well, so I cannot really say that I can't provide a solution to how we can outrightly stop this, because it starts from one person.
Okay.
But you can stop how you allow it to get to you. You might not have that power to change your boss, but you can use your attitude. I've seen someone that used her attitude to change the boss somehow. Because the boss was expecting all of these things to bring her down, to, affect her and make her start trembling. Of course, she was respectful, but she made sure that she ensured that she was able to stand, such that the boss at some point had to call her, that what is it about you? Because she expected that all of those things, all of those attitude, were going to bring her down and make her start feeling less of herself. But she kept doing her best, and she was outdoing herself on the job.
Okay, so let me give you this instance. I have a job to do.
All right.
I have my family life, my family responsibilities, and here is this boss who I dread. Now, I have to think of how I need to resolve my personal life issues, my family life issues, and I'm not trying to draft a means through which I can appeal to my boss. What I'm trying to ask is, don't you think that is mentally draining as well? Trying to see how you can appease a boss who seems not to be appeased at anything you try to do.
Okay, so that's where value comes to play.
Okay.
Yeah, this is what we call value. If you're adding value, you see, don't try to make yourself accepted.
All right.
No. I tell people, wouldn't you rather be valued rather than be accepted? Because you can be accepted today and thrown out tomorrow. But when you are adding value, you become a sought after. They cannot do without you. Let the boss dislike you till tomorrow. Let the boss not be appeased with your presence. It doesn't have a choice. He or she cannot do without you. It's not about your looks. It's not about how appealing you are. It's about what you're bringing to the table that he or she cannot do without you. He knows that Esther is the best for the job. So it doesn't matter if you like me or not. I've worked with a boss, when I was in the banking system, that just didn't like me. But he couldn't just do without me. Because I was the best staff. I was the best marketer of the year. So when he comes and goes, when he does all of his blabbings, he says it gets me AY. So that's how you can make yourself valuable. People cannot run away from value. Value attracts. You were discussing something with me about how you made yourself. You just have to make yourself a sought after. Do research. And that's the point where we become lazy. And like I said, as employers, employees rather, because a boss is threatening you, the boss has decided to post as a challenge, you just accept status quo and you're just being, oh, my boss is threatening me. You can threaten your boss indirectly by doing the best, by going out of your way to ensure that you're adding value. You're bringing something to the table that he or she cannot do without.
Now let's talk about the environment itself. Now these are employees. They always say that the rotten fruit comes from the head. But in scenarios where these fruits, propagate, they circulate. Now as an individual in a work environment where you have a couple of co-workers as well, there are tendencies where you have co-workers who bully each other, who make snide comments, who decide to take it upon themselves to always bring down the intellectual status quo or professional capabilities of their fellow, employees. How do you deal with such an environment, considering the fact that you have a potential there, you have a potential to get a good future in that workspace? Unfortunately, the people you work with do not seem to want to give you that mental work-friendly environment. How do you cope?
All right, so empty barrels make the loudest noise. You can be quiet and become a sought after. You don't have to make the loudest noise. You don't have to sing your praise, I was just telling you behind the camera the other time about how I went to speak in a place and I met a particular lady that was singing a praise, telling, the audience about how she's been doing this for years, how she's attended to a lot of clients, and I was just there. And they're like, who is this small girl? What does she have to say? I just need to open my mouth. The empty effects will sure play out. So that's just it. You need to first and foremost believe in yourself. If you carry it, you carry it. If you have it, you have it. Believe in yourself. Your self-esteem, I talked about self-esteem in the last episode. You have to carry that healthy self-esteem in that you're sure that you matter anywhere you go to. You matter to people that matter, in places that matter. So these are words of affirmations you need to tell yourself. You need to let yourself know, not letting people know. You need to first let yourself know. So when these things have become a part and parcel of you, it will just naturally exude wherever you go to. People cannot just do without noticing that there's something about you that stands you out. So it doesn't matter if anyone is trying to outshine you, if anyone is trying to downplay what you're doing just to, for them to show that they are the best. You don't bother. Keep doing your thing. When the light shines, it comes to you and it spots on you. If you're the best, it picks you out.
You hear that? If you're the best, it picks you out. We're talking about toxic work environments, how we can cope in it, how it affects our mental health, how it affects our capacities, either as a professional or one who aspires to be one. Now, if you've had cases or you've had similar experiences with the conversation I've had with Mtish today, I would implore you to send your comments right in our YouTube page at VOPTV. If there are private conversations you would like to have where you feel that platform is not where you can fully express yourself, you can actually send a direct message at
Mtish Ayodeji Michael Oni on Instagram.
Mtish Ayodeji Michael Oni. Ayodeji rather. Mtish Ayodeji Michael Oni on Instagram. Facebook and Twitter too?
Mtish Michael Oni.
Mtish Michael Oni on Facebook. On Facebook. And of course, you can also reach out to me at Esther Wachuku, Twitter, Facebook, as well as on Instagram. The idea is that these conversations helps us expose a lot of rot and make our mental health better. Remember that once your mental health is balanced, once you understand that you can resolve and help yourself in whatever way it is you can help yourself, either by contacting people whom you know can help you, then you can get yourself a balanced state of mind. And that is very important, whether we like it or not. And that's a wrap on today's segment on you and your mental health. See you next time.